Greetings, Talvar, and it's Balanced Dataslate Day. So I've sat on it since 10 o'clock this morning, and I've kind of read through it, and I'm excited. But also, there's a couple of things that need to be adjusted, and I have brought it to the attention of the team and messaged them directly to get some clarification on a few things. So overall, I think it's very positive, and if you have a look at what GW have said in the actual Warcom article, they talk about Tau Empire as seeing what is probably the biggest adjustment in this data slate. Listening to player feedback, the army rule has been proving to be hard for newer players to utilise. We have therefore adjusted the observer system to allow not all non-observer Tau units who target an observed enemy to become guided. So this is great for us. It kind of makes us stop feeling like we're playing 5D chess, and we can start playing just a normal, simple rule to give ourselves that sweet +1 ballistic skill and ignore cover. It does say that a number of detachment and datasheet rules have been adjusted to work in conjunction with this updated army rule. So this is something to really bear in mind. You've got to kind of think past current, present tense and start to think about the future and the evolution of the game. So I know, obviously, a lot of you have already read the data slate. You're already feeling loads of emotions, and let me just clarify a few things throughout this video. I'm going to try and keep it like short, concise, and straight to the point, and give you my kind of takes on a few things, which is obviously clearly what you guys want. You want to be guided in the right direction and have faith that this is going to have a good impact on our performance, which it is. So let's get straight into the actual slate itself. Give me a second while I switch screens. Okay, so let's get straight into the actual army word for the greater good ability. So the greater good ability now, as alluded to on the Warcom article, is nice and simple. Before, you had to have an observer to spot a unit and to guide a unit for every unit that you wanted to kill. Now, it's just, if, for example, an opponent reveals one big brick in the middle of the board, let's say just 10 Terminators, and you, in the past, you would want, right, well, in order to kill this 10-man Terminator brick, I had to give 3 units out there: a crisis team, a breach team, and a broadside team. You'd have to have set up 3 potential guiders to make that happen. So let's say if you all wanted reroll 1s to hit and 1s to win from stealth suits, you'd have to reveal 3 stealth suit units just to kill that one target. Then the opponent kills all your stealth suits, and then you've no longer got that benefit for the rest of the game. Now, you would just put 1 unit of stealth suits out, guide that, spot a B observer, make that unit a spotted unit, and then those 3 units that I mentioned are now observer guided units, and now can actually pulverize that 10-man Terminator in the middle. So that makes it a hell of a lot easier, and that's just a really stripped down version. Now, the other thing you'll notice is that the ballistic skill modifier, so the split fire penalty, has now been removed, which also allows us to split fire. We once were an army that could split fire to some horrendous effects, and the efficiencies were crazy, especially with like big units of crisis suits and whatnot. Now we can start to utilize split firing some of the guns into optimal profiles as and when we choose to. So this is a really good quality of life change. And I'm not just going to be talking about the positives, I'm also going to be highlighting some of the potential negatives or the things that maybe they've missed this time around, and hopefully some of the things that are going to get changed immediately as I've brought them to the attention of the right people ASAP. And I've done that this morning. So, like I said, the way that the guiding mechanic works is now simplified. In short, you can just only reveal 1 to guide, and the whole army can get that benefit of +1 ballistic skill. Now, the one key change here is it says if your army faction is Tau Empire, at the start of your shooting phase, you can select units from your army with this ability to become observer units. Full stop. Then it goes into talking about for each observer unit that is eligible to shoot, excluding fortifications and battleshot units, select 1 enemy unit that is visible to be marked as their spotted unit until the end of the phase. So this can be read 2 ways, and this is the confusion that I need clearing up from GW, or adjusting, because there's a big concern here around dealing with stuff that's in transports. Now, if you read it one way, which is you have to do all of this at the beginning of the shooting phase, including setting up the spotted units, then it means that you can no longer deal with units that fall out of a destroyed transport. In the past, we were able to go, right, well, I'm going to reveal this stealth suit unit to make these broadsides kill that rhino, and then I've got this other stealth suit unit to be be able to guide, be observer to spot the unit that falls out of the transport, and then you continue shooting and you delete both transport and unit inside. But if you read it in the way that all of this has to be done at the beginning of the shooting phase, then it means that you cannot spot units that fall out of transport, so therefore can never be guided, which is a huge concern. And I think that this has not been intended, it's just something that's slipped the net. Now, the other way of reading it is that choosing your observer units at the beginning of the shooting phase. So then I pick my units to be observers at the beginning of the shooting phase, and then you can continue to do the spotting, guiding mechanic as per the normal rules that we've been using prior to this slate, because it's a separate paragraph. But again, it needs clarification because there's going to be half in one camp, half in the other. All of us are obviously going to be in the camp of, well, we want it to work that we can just guide stuff throughout the shooting phase, because that's what we're used to, and it also doesn't stop us from, spotting units that fall out of transports. So I have sent it through, and there's three main questions that I've sent through to get looked at, and they will be looking into it. But I've got no definite answer yet. I'm going to wait, but I've been told that they're looking into it. So that's number one. It's how do we deal with stuff that's coming out of transports. So let's get straight into some of the things. Rather than focusing on that particular point, let's look at units that we can now take that are going to really help us guide. Now, number one, Pathfinders have been changed, and I'll get onto that in a second. So we no longer have the double guide mechanic from Pathfinders, but they've got their own benefit now. Stealth suits grant reroll 1s to hit and 1s to wound for all of your guided units, which is huge buff. Yes, they've gone up by 20 points for a unit of 3, so they're 80 points rather than 60, but a unit of 6 is still 120 points. But reroll 1s to hit and 1s to wound for your entire army is fantastic. And now that we don't have to reveal multiple stealth suit units, they're still going to be worth their weight in gold. Let's have a look at other observers that we don't usually take. Well, Firesight Marksman. He's a lone op, observer should I say, with a marker light, and he's 70 points. And he's a lone op. So you can place him in positions where you're not going to get charged, you're not going to get shot, and you can just say, if you come out down this flank, you're going to get shot, and I'm not going to be losing a observer unit. So for me, that's a huge win. The other thing that I wanted to keep, I've known about this for a while, and there's a lot of these rumours that I've heard prior to it coming out, and I'm not under an NDA with GW, I don't have access to this slate before everyone else, but I've got connections, that's all I'll say. The two enhancements that were never taken are 3-unit devastation in Kion and coordinated exploitation in Montcar, because it was locked to just one unit gaining lethal or sustained depending on the detachment. This now becomes cash money. Now, my top little combo for you is nice and simple. An ethereal with one of those two enhancements that I mentioned in a strike team, and it comes to about 165 points. You pick a target, your whole army in Kion will get lethals, and in Montcar, with the coordinated exploitation, get sustained hits 1. The strike team can be used in really clever ways. You only have to have one guy poking out to guide. They're going to be -1 to wound from shooting incoming ranged attacks because of the Guardian drone. And then on top of that, an ethereal gives them a 5-up feel no pain. And the unit's going to have cover. So this little package could probably get you 2 or 3 turns, gaining army-wide lethal or army-wide sustained. The sustained hits being in Montcar and the lethal hits being in Kion, because the 3-unit devastation is in Kion enhancement and then the coordinated exploitation is in Montcar. So that, again, is a really nice little package that can just tip your efficiencies over the edge to actually deal damage. Riptides are going to love having sustained and lethal, or lethal and sustained. Broadsides, lethal and sustained or lethal. Crisis Suit, Fire Knives, being able to have full rerolls to hit against a target that's at full starting strength. Again, you could fish for sustained lethal. Lots of nice little combos going on here. And then the other thing I'd like to just mention is things like you might have like a unit out in the open that doesn't really get cover. So I'm just going to use my Devilfish to guide it and then kill you anyway. So you're going to have situations where stuff that's going out anyway that has no purpose in guiding because you're used to always having to have ignore cover will be able to be used at the same time as pushing out to go and do secondaries or to tie up some stuff or to get into better position. So there is lots of good things that are going to come from this army-wide rule that's changed. And I'm really looking forward to coming up with some little nice combos. I've already started doing it in the Discord. We've already had a call this morning. We're gonna have a call later on in the evening. So if you do want to join at the Pathfinder minimum level, which is like £5 a month plus VATs. And then you can gain access to the calls. And then I'm going to be doing plenty of content throughout the upcoming weeks or so. So now is the time to join if you're curious and you want to kind of hear from me and take part in the discussion. If you maybe just don't want to kind of pay for any subscriptions, that's absolutely fine. Come and join the standard Discord for free. Communicate. There's lots of conversation going on there. So it really is a great place to be. So, usual, like, subscribe, put the comments in below how you feel about this slate, and click on the link to join my Discord. Anyway, guys, let's get into Kion, because this is the big thing, right? We've had a lot of stuff that's like, oh, this is good, and then suddenly, bam, Kion takes a shotgun to the shin. Now, this is my take on it. So Kion has obviously been nerfed. I am not going to lie to you, it is a nerf. It has had an additional rule added. So remember, it still has the caveat from the third battle round onwards, ranged weapons equipped by Tau Empire models in your army have the sustain hits 1 ability. Full stop. So that still remains the same. The only thing that's changed is sustain hits 2 goes to sustain hits 1. In addition, which is not linked to from the third battle round onwards, you can ignore, while it is basically shooting into a spotted unit, you ignore any and all effects to your ballistic skill and modifiers to hit. So this, and I repeat, this is not locked from turn 3 onwards. This is basically a continuous thing that you'll get throughout the game. And the reason for this is that, give me 1 second. Because basically it's definitely not linked to the round restriction based on other rules in the game. In addition, is never conditional on the first part being true, as it's a separate allocation. So remember that, okay? So that's rules as written. Now, Kion. Why the hell have they nerfed Kion? What the hell, GW? I'm really upset. And it's like you're kind of gifting me with something, but then also nerfing me. I feel you. I understand you. Okay? But let me give you my take on this. So right now, when I analyse the meta and I look at the detachments and everything that's going on in the background, yes, we've been struggling. And that is fair to say. But if you look at the stat check data that was recently uploaded, Kion is at 55%, as it stands. So with all these changes that have happened across the board, the guiding, so on and so forth, allowing us to then start to use these enhancements that I talked about, especially the one that gives the lethals, what do you think would happen to the Kion percentage win rate? Would it go down or would it go up? And if it would go up, how much are we talking about here? Oh, and also remember that the main game itself has now got this amazing new feature of challenger cards which give you points or stratagems if you're behind. Kion's win rate would go through the roof. And I'd be bold enough to say, especially on the top level, we would probably push Kion to like 65% win rate, 70% win rate. So then all the other Tau detachments would suffer. And then in the next slate, we don't get any adjustments to anything, and we get a nerf. So it's best to tackle it now than for it to basically ruin everything. So I 100% agree with this. But saying that, I think Daka with the Sustain Hits 2 have put a real nervousness around Sustain Hits 2, and they've obviously nerfed it because of that as well. But I genuinely would rather have Kion toned down now than for it to spoil everything. And we are still paying for sins of the past. So I don't want to ever go back to this, oh, for the last 6-9 months to a year we've been struggling. I see so many players excited and then lose their faith and then come back and then go away and they're just frustrated. I don't want that to any 40k player that loves a faction as much as I love Tau. It's just not cool. Look at what happened to Sisters Bringers of Flame. Massive spike in performance, did really well, nerfed, no Sisters players are playing the army for 6 months. And they're only just starting to come back a little bit with certain builds by top players that still rate them. But again, it's spamming stuff. Don't want it to happen. Keep that cancer away from Tau, and I'd like us just to kind of be balanced. We were balanced before, but then power creep has happened and it's reduced us. Hopefully that has kind of put a little bit of context in terms of why Kion's been nerfed, and I really do think it's a good thing in the long haul. Because I know in this slate we were maybe hoping for a lot of things like data sheet abilities changed, stat lines changed, you know, extra toughness on things like crisis suits, riptides, ghost keels, guns being increased in strength, Sunforge given full rerolls to hit and wound and damage like other things in the game like fire dragons and eradicators, and the list goes on and on and on. And then stratagems having restrictions removed, and stratagems being reduced, like the 6-inch deep strike for 1 CP rather than 2 CP like everyone else. All the stuff goes on and on and on. I've sent all of these changes that I would like to see into GW and put in the right hands, and obviously things take time. But if Kion ruined it for everything, next time round we won't get these changes. So this is literally a slow burn, and let's see how this impacts Tau performance, and if it doesn't impact in the way that we would like, we can implement other changes going forward. That categorically is going to be the case. So bear that in mind, please. But understand that your frustrations are heard and they are noted and they are valid. Just try to think outside the box. And I know I'm a positive individual and I'll always try to be, and that can sometimes be toxic to people that just like, let me complain, let me vent my frustration, and it's okay to do so. But there's plenty of good to explore later down the line within some of these changes. So anyway, apologies for a little bit of mini rant, but it was valid. So, like I said, those 2 enhancements really good. Kion, I just want lethals. And sustain. You obviously get lethals from turns 1 to 2, and then you can have sustain hits and the lethals if you keep that guiding unit alive. Observer unit, should I say. And then obviously if you do the Exemplar of the Kion enhancement in Kion, you're going to get sustain hits 1 on turn 2 and lethals, and if it's in a crisis team with a fire knife team, you're going to basically get lethals and sustained with 4 rerolls to hit. And you can split fire, so you could suddenly be going pew 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 pew, and then if they're in a burst star side unit, you can have sustain hits 1, lethals into that, and then you could be split firing in lots of places. It's crazy, right? The combinations are good. And then equally in Montcar, which arguably now is the new Kion, you're going to have lethals and sustained. So Kion Nerf, but did not Kion just move over to Montcar? So yeah, like ethereal with that enhancement on a strike team. Let's go, baby. Sustained and lethals. Awesome. Really love it. You know what loves sustained and lethals? Riptides. Iron Hammerheads. It's going to be great. Piranhas. Imagine Piranhas with sustained and lethal with the... I got unit 3 Piranhas and I'm going to split fire. Fusions into here. Seekers into there. Get wrecked. Cool stuff, right? Plenty of combinations that can be done. So retaliation, no changes, and no other changes to any other detachments like auxiliary, prototype, retcad, recruit, and that's it. Yeah. Now, data sheets. So the Firesight team got a change, but it's like a pointless subtle change. It used to say, because I've not updated my app, it's spotted unit. Now it just says a spotted unit. So no Tetra rerolls are not back for those people. I've heard it on Reddit. I've seen the people in the chats being like, yeah, Tetra rerolls is back. It's not. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack that targets a spotted unit, you can reroll the hit roll. So it's referring to his guns. And remember, drones aren't models, but he still has sniper drones. So he gets to reroll the hits of sniper drones. That's it. But his utility is going to be the fact that he's alone up and can guide. Pathfinder team. So this, again, people are feeling this little nerf because they're like, oh, I was really looking forward to double guiding, especially with this new greater good rule. So they've changed it. And what they've changed it to is each time a model in this unit makes an attack that targets their spotted unit, improve the ballistic skill characteristic of that attack by 1, and that attack has the ignores cover ability. So essentially, they just get the greater good rule when they can go, okay, cool, I've guided now, bam, 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 I want to shoot as well. So combinations here is Pathfinders haven't adjusted points, so that's a little bit of a swing and a miss because the 2 guiding was really good, but there's some crazy combinations you can do with the Pathfinder team in terms of their output. Montcalf specifically, obviously you're going to you can maybe just kind of like have the full rerolls to hit on what do you call it? The stratagem where if something's killed something, excluding recruit units, you get full rerolls to hit. You put Darkstride in the unit, +1 to wound, +1 to hit, ignore cover. Just can go ham. And if it doesn't have to guide, then you're going to have lethals. So, and potentially sustained as well. So Pathfinders can put a horrendous amount of output. The only thing they were held back by before was that they would never get the benefit of the Greater Good rule because they were the Observer unit. But now they get that built in. And ignores cover. So Pathfinders can actually now be focused more on, like, not just guiding utility, but quite offensively, and with their scout move 7 and their move 7 and the ability to be in a transport and all that kind of stuff. So Pathfinders are going to have a little bit of a change in role. So there is another thing that's really weird, that you can actually stack ballistic skill with Pathfinders in Kion. Because you can't stack for the greater good, but you can do the coordinate to engage with +1 ballistic skill, and then for the greater good, +1 ballistic skill. So you can have Pathfinders hitting on 2s. Yes, you're thinking, what? Can you? Really? Read it. Raw. I don't know if that was intended, but I'll take it. Pathfinder's just gone, die. So yeah, interesting. Okay, cool. So that pretty much sums up everything. There's not really anything else to it. But the 3 things... Oh, yeah. Okay. So the 3 things I've asked for clarification on. 1, I've already mentioned about how are we ruling spotting units that fall out of transports. And I've already gone into that. 2 is the clarification on the Kion second ability. Is it linked to turn 3 onwards? But obviously, rules as written, it is not, because it's in addition and it doesn't specify round 3. So I think I've already got that anyway covered, but I wanted to get clarification anyway. And the third one, which is another hot take: can you spot a target twice? So rules as written, the answer is yes, you can. So why is that important, Kyle? Well, okay, big unit of 10 Terminators in the middle. I guide with my stealth suits. Sorry, I observe with my stealth suits to spot Terminators, giving my army reroll 1s to hit and 1s to wound. But I'd also like that enhancement of the through unity devastation in Kion. So I want lethal hits, and it's turn 3. I get sustained. So I'm going to spot with them as well. So I've spotted with stealth suits, granting reroll 1s to hit and 1s to wound, and I've spotted with my ethereal and strike team, giving me lethals. Nothing stops me in rules as written to do this. Now, was that rules as intended? Probably not. But again, I've asked for clarification. Some of you are going to hate me for doing this, because if it does get nerfed to say, no, you can't, then I've directly nerfed this. But I don't care. I genuinely want this to be balanced. When I say I don't care, I do care. I care about making sure that it's just clean, concise, easy, no bullshit. This time around, I just want it clean, no issues, so that going into the next 3 months, 6 months, we can start to get some treatment because the core fundamental thing that's broken about Tau has been fixed. Yeah? And then everything else can be like, yeah, do you know what? We've fixed that. We made this rule simpler now. It's working, but it's not quite had the impact that we want. So we need to look at datasheet changes. We don't want to be having any of these little broken combinations that are like in the grey area, messing up the percentages and the performance, because then it just pulls away from getting the buffs that we need later down the line. So I hope that you're understanding that I'm doing this literally for the greater good of making things balanced, right? And just no awkward feels bad in front of your opponent. The frustrating thing about playing Tau and playing Tau against somebody is the long conversations that you have to have with someone about how the guiding mechanic works, and then the opponent going, oh, Tau, what, did this, and getting stuff wrong, and then being accused of, you know, well, you were cheating, you got your rule wrong. It's like, mate, I have to have an abacus and a lawyer with me at all times because it's just really complex. So this, I just want to be no grey areas, nice and simple, let's go. And hopefully this is going to be the case. So I've sent the information. What comes of it is out of my hands, but I will hopefully be seeing some little adjustments to this over the next, you know, whatever time, however they adjust things like this, I don't know. So anyway, I really want to know about your thoughts on this. Are you excited? Are you bummed out? You know, what are you thinking in terms of what's stopping you from maybe getting behind this? Or what are you excited to start to experiment with within your own list designs now going forward? Do we still take 3 stealth suits? Do we peel back? Do we put in more damage dealers? All this kind of stuff. There's so many combinations that can happen that I'm really excited for. Me personally, my final take, just to round out the video to like half an hour, is that the big winners for me are going to be Skyrays, because, well, okay, cool, in Kion I can just be like, well, I'm going to spot, I'm an observer, I'm going to do coordinate to engage, and I'm going to nuke you. Commanders and crisis suits have had a big glow up. The commanders used to be held back by the fact that when you look at a target and want to kill it, especially in retaliation, right, you go, well, my 3 crisis suits with double burst cannons can clear that unit anyway. But then my commander, when he split fires, he's going to be hit on 4s because of -1 ballistic skill, and I don't get the ballistic skill addition. But now you could go, well, I'll tell you what, crisis suits are going to shoot that unit and kill it. My commander's going to target the other spotted unit and get the benefit of the crisis suit unit that is attached to. So if you think about, oh, well, I'm in a Star Scythe unit, so I get an extra AP. Perfect. Bam. I'm going to kill that unit with an extra AP, and then this unit can kill that. And if you get within 9 in retaliation, you're gaining AP2 with your burst into that unit and AP2 on your commander. And if he happens to have the enhancement of the prototype weapon system for sustain/lethal, suddenly becomes a bit of a wrecking ball on his own. And then vice versa with a Fire Knight team. Full rerolls to hit against full strength units. Sweet. Bap, bap, split fire. So commanders plus crisis suits is going to be great, and also you can play around with the weapon loadouts more. So a missile commander in Starside Burst will be AP1, AP2, because if you're targeting a non-monster vehicle unit, and then if you happen to be within 9, you're AP3. So you can have AP3 strength 7/8, depending on if you're within 12. If you're within 9, you obviously are within 12. So it's going to be 8, 3, 2. And you put the prototype on him for lethals and sustain, crazy good. Sunforge, Commander, Cold Start, Fusions. Sunforge go into 1, Commander goes into the other, you can pop two vehicles. And the other thing to mention is that the Kion one with the ignoring ballistic skill and hit modifiers really helps Sunforge, because Sunforge suck when they're having to hit something on 4s after they pop smoke. But now, when you ignore modifiers, happy days. They're basically turning all your crisis suits into mini Fire Knights without the rerolls because of the ignoring modifiers to hit. In Montcar, suddenly you don't get the ignoring modifier hits, but you're getting full rerolls to hit with the stratagem, because assuming you've targeted units that have killed some decent stuff. So again, I think crisis suits and commanders, big wins. Skyrays, hammerheads, big wins, because obviously you're going to be getting easy guided and with a hammerhead having a free reroll and potentially just, ignoring modifiers in Kion and so on and so forth, your vehicles are going to hit harder, your crisis suits are going to hit harder with the commanders, and then everything else like, breaches in Kion ignoring modifiers to hit like stealth and stuff is going to be big. So I do think there's a lot of positives here. I think once you start to play with this new rule, things will start to fall into place. I think at the moment I'm going to join you all in saying that right now it's overwhelming. It's a lot of stuff, and I'm like, okay, cool. I just need to see it on the table. I need to play with it to make sure that it feels better. And I think that's what we all need to kind of just get into playing, testing it, seeing how it feels versus the old rule. And I think the one key thing that it's going to give us is time. It's going to give us a lot of time back. And it's also going to feel like when you go to an event, after playing a 2-day event, you felt like you've been playing 2 events back to back because of the amount of thought that you've had to put into setting up your observer units, spotting, so on and so forth. And it's tiring, and we're exhausted. Hell, I'm exhausted, and I've been playing this faction for longer than Nassim's been alive, as he told me at the German Super Major. But even then, this is gonna just be like, cool, I can relax, I'm gonna have more units to do actions with, more screening, so on and so forth. So I do think we'll still need a decent amount of guiding units. I just think we need to just think about our list design going forward and just have some fun with this new thing. It is a gift. Could it be better? Could there be loads? Yes, but that will come in time. But anyway, guys, I've kept it roughly to half an hour. Hope this has been really useful. Really want to hear your comments and stuff in the chat below. So please let me know how you're feeling and let me know how well this has been received or not. I'm open to hearing all your thoughts. And like I said, I'd love to have you come and join the Greater Good. Come and join the Puretide program. Links in below. Plenty of things to have access to. Tournament review. If you want to go full on with the Chassel, you get tournament reviews, better the meta talks, war council, the whole lot. You pretty much get a lot of my time and energy and everything into like private chats within a group discussion calls, and it will really elevate your performance to the next level. Shasbury, you get list building calls, you get Q&A sessions, all my calls are done live and you can interact and they're all recorded. And then obviously if you want to join in the entry level of Pathfinder, it's brilliant. I've got loads of deployment videos, loads of tactics and things that you can get your teeth into early. And then if you ever want to upgrade into a different package, always DM me and I can sort out the sort of transfer to a different package with no admin fees. You just have to directly message me. Either way, really want you on board. Even if you come on the free community, it's great to see so many people getting behind the Greater Good and joining my Discord. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your days and evenings and I'll speak to you all soon. Take care, everyone.